Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mr. Jones and Miss Stokes, okay? Coming to you again, all right, working with Lesson 1 in the PLP program on Ancient Rome, okay? Going over the Roman Republic and the Punic Wars, all right?
We're going to start off with some vocabulary. The first one is consul. If you click on this button, it even pronounces it for you. So a consul is a chief civil officer in the Roman Republic. Centuriate assembly.
Centuriate assembly.
Responsible for the election of the Roman consuls. Patricians. They consist of wealthy landowners and descendants of Rome's old Roman aristocracy, the aristocrats, the rich, the upper class people. They could serve as members on the Senate. And at that time, remember, they were the only group, the only class that could serve on the Senate. And then you have the plebeians or plebes, which is the middle and lower class members of the Roman society.
Okay, so right here in the middle, all right, the little piece of paper, like tan paper, people you need to know, okay? Hannibal, all right? He was a Carthaginian military commander, all right? He roamed the Italian peninsula, all right, conquering Roman-controlled cities, okay? So that's a major person that we need to know, all right? So we're going to read this thing section by section, okay? So just follow along the best you can, all right? So we're going to start with section 1, the geography of Italy, okay? So Italy is a peninsula in southern Europe. It extends into the Mediterranean Sea. To the east of the Italian peninsula is Greece. France and Spain are located to the west. Several large islands lie off the coast of Italy. Corsica and Sardinia are located in the Ligurian Sea to the west. The island of Sicily nearly touches the southern tip of the Italian peninsula and is not far from the coast of North Africa.
The interior of Italy is covered with fertile valleys and plains suitable for farming. The Apennine Mountains run north to south and through the divide of the Italian peninsula into the east and west. They have never formed a barrier between the people of Italy. So if you remember in ancient Greece, it was very mountainous and the city-states were very spread apart. They had very unique and different cultures, like Athens and Sparta had very unique and different cultures. The geography of Italy has not done that to the people of Italy. Even though that they had mountains there, they didn't form as barriers to get in the way of, transporting goods and ideas and cultures in between different locations. So that's very different.
Okay, beautiful. All right, third paragraph. As with other ancient civilizations, many of the early peoples of Italy settled in river valleys. One such settlement was established along the Tiber River. Is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This location was especially appealing because it had 7 hills suitable for defense. The peoples living on and around the hills later established the city of Rome. Okay?
So this is really important, guys. We see this trend in history time and time again. We had it in Mesopotamia. We had it in Egypt. We have it in China, where these people early settlers settle along river valleys because it allows for fertile soil, transportation, fresh water. And Rome specifically has those 7 hills, which is awesome for defense, because where they would live, where they would reside would be up on the hills. So at nighttime they were protected, but during the daytime they would have the valleys that had the fertile soil where they could sustain themselves. So Rome's geography is very, very important in the ancient civilization of Rome and its prosperity.
Beautiful. Okay. So next section is the early history of Rome. Okay. So during the 8th century, the Greeks established colonies in Sicily and on the Italian peninsula. One of the people groups that they encountered was the Etruscans. The Etruscans ruled much of Italy, including Rome. At that time, Rome was just a village inhabited by the Latins. Okay? The Latins lived in organized farming communities. They were not generally a warring people like the Etruscans. However, as the Latins in Rome experienced contact with the Etruscans, they began to adopt their ways. Okay? Having been influenced by the Greeks, the Etruscans introduced the Romans to Greek mythology, architecture, art, literature, writing, and government systems as well.
And we're going to talk about this a whole lot, in ancient Greece. And we had Alexander the Great, who went and conquered all of these lands and really spread that Greek culture. We're going to see a lot of this Greek culture, like Joan said, with mythology and architecture and art and literature. We're going to see that a lot in Rome. And as the Roman society flourishes, so is Greek culture going to flourish as well. Roman Republic. It says that many of the events before the formation of the Roman Republic are unknown. However, we do know that in 509 BC, the Etruscan,
it's tough.
kingdom was overthrown by the Latins. In its place, a republic based in Rome was established. A republic is a form of government in which the people elect their rulers and lawmakers. And if you can remember, when we were in school, actually in person, we talked about Romulus and Remus and, the beginnings of Rome and how that was a myth and a legend. But then we talked about how actually, it was started and settled by Etruscans and the Latins, okay? They were the first ones actually in here. So, it was rooted in truth.
Okay, here we go. Society and government. Okay, so the Roman Republic was divided into two main classes. All right, the patricians consisted of wealthy landowners and descendants of Rome's old aristocracy. Okay, the plebeians or the plebes were the middle and lower class members of society. Among them were farmers, merchants, and tradesmen. Okay, it was forbidden for a member of a plebeian household to marry a patrician. So there's a divide there. Okay, you have the patricians, the elites. Okay, then you have the plebeians. All right, middle to lower class. Okay, remember we talked about this a little bit while we were in person. All right, now the majority of the Rome population, okay, was plebeians. Okay, that was the larger group. Okay, the elite group up top, that only made up about 10%. Okay, of the Rome population build. All right.
And when we're talking about that small population, that's where a lot of the power was.
Yes.
So with their republic, with their government, you're going to notice that over time, it's going to change and it's going to allow for more voice for that lower class.
Yeah.
So plebeians as well as patricians were permitted to participate in government. However, only the patricians could serve as members of the Senate. The Senate was the most powerful governing assembly in the Roman Republic. Other assemblies include the Tribal Assembly, the Centuriate Assembly, and the Curiate Assembly.
Yep.
So understand that, once again, the lower class, which is the majority of the people, are having very little say here. They do have the Tribal Assembly, which they can participate. But as far as consuls, as far as the Senate, all of those positions were going to your upper class.
Wonderful. Okay. So the Centuriate Assembly was responsible for the election of the consuls. Okay. This duty made it the second most powerful assembly next to the Senate. It was also responsible for the appointment of chief military officials, also known as praetors, and the passage of legislation. Okay. So the Centuriate Assembly was comprised of both patricians and plebeians. Okay, it had both. However, power in the Centuriate was organized according to your class. So therefore, the patricians controlled the Centuriate. Okay.
So it kind of gave the illusion
Yep.
that everybody had a fair voice, but in the beginning, it really didn't. And those consuls, those two chief elected officials, were only patricians at first.
Yes.
Now, a little bit later on, we're going to see that there's going to be a change there because, people are going to realize, we are several, we
Yeah.
are mighty,
Right.
and we can change this.
Yep.
And here you've got a picture of the Roman Senate.
Love it.
Says government officials were elected by the assemblies. The two chief government officials were the consuls. The consuls served as a joint rulers overseeing the government, the military, and the judicial system of Rome. So just like in our system today, our government system, where we have the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch, they had the same. Each consul served for 1 year and was subject in his decisions to the approval of the other. This helped balance power and prevent political abuse and corruption.
Wonderful. Okay. So the inequality in power led to many struggles and debates between the patricians and the plebeians. Okay. As the largest group in Rome, the plebeians demanded that they be granted more power in government. Okay? In 471 BC, the plebeian council was created in which only plebeians could be members. Eventually, the council was permitted the right to pass legislation that all Roman citizens had to obey, including the patricians. The tribunes of the plebes was another concession gained by the plebeians. The main duty of the tribunes was to protect the rights of the plebeians. Later, tribunes were allowed to veto, okay, legislation that they thought unfair to the plebeians. All right.
So we actually see those checks and balances happening a little bit later into Roman history. So we're going to start here at this third paragraph where it says, to further protect the plebeians from injustice, the Law of 12 Tables was adopted in 449 BC as the official code of law of the Roman Republic. They were etched into 12 marble tables and hung in the Roman Forum. Before the publication of the Law of 12 Tables, there was no known objective standard of behavior. Patrician judges ruled on cases according to their own interpretations of what was traditionally considered right and wrong. So this is huge. If you can recall, in history, you've got Hammurabi's Code from the ancient Mesopotamian world. What we have here is a Law of 12 Tables. Now, for the Law of 12 Tables, unlike Hammurabi's Code, it wasn't going to be different for the different class systems. It was the same for all. This is huge because this first establishes a written code of laws that everyone has to follow regardless of class. This is huge in history. Huge.
Wonderful. Okay. So, final paragraph in this section. All right. The Law of 12 Tables is not a comprehensive set of laws. As the situation in Rome changed and its borders grew, the law code was expanded and divided into three main bodies. So you had the law of citizens, you had the law of nations, and you had the law of nature. Okay? So the law of citizens applied only to Roman citizens. It afforded certain privileges of citizenship. Okay? The law of nations applied to foreigners living within Roman territory. Okay? Laws that were labeled a law of nature were based on the idea that all humans possessed certain rights regardless of birth, class, or wealth. The United States Declaration of Independence's terminology, unalienable
rights.
Beautiful. Is based on this same Roman concept. Okay?
So guys, like we were saying, we have our Constitution, and it has different things divided into. They had laws for citizens, they had laws for nature, and they had laws of the law of nature. So Italian conquest. While the conflicts between the patricians and the plebeians were causing strife within, the Roman Republic was continuously engaged in war with neighboring Latin city-states. Victorious in battle, Rome expanded its territory in all directions by 265 BC. The Romans defeated the Etruscans in the north and the Greeks in the south.
Okay, so to ensure their control over the Latins, Etruscans, and Greeks of the Italian peninsula, the Romans opened citizenship to the leading members of local communities. As Roman citizens, they were allowed to participate in the government of their state. The states under Roman control were organized into the Roman Confederation. In exchange for Roman freedoms and privileges, conquered states were expected to pay taxes and supply soldiers that would serve in the Roman military.
And I just want to bring this back up here to your all's vision. So Italian Peninsula, this little boot in green, lime green here is the Italian Peninsula. Rome is right here in the middle. So when we're talking about fending off Greece and we're talking about fending off the Latins, okay, we're talking about all of these areas around it. So this map is very useful, okay? Mediterranean conqueror. Rome's conquest of the southern portion of the Italian peninsula brought into conflict with Carthage. Carthage was a city-state in North Africa established by the Phoenicians. The economy of Carthage depended upon sea trade. As a result, it established itself as the foremost naval power in Western Mediterranean. The Carthaginian Empire controlled ports in Spain, Corsica, Sardinia, and Sicily.
Beautiful. Can we scroll up really quick and point out Carthage on the map? Okay, so Carthage, what we're speaking about in this current moment. Okay, you see right there, right off of the coast of North Africa. Okay, obviously, all right, you see it's located in the ocean. All right, so that's why they relied so much on sea trade. Okay, that was their biggest export right there. All right. Okay. All right, second paragraph. Okay, starting with the word fearful. Beautiful. Fearful that Rome would try to capture its ports in Sicily, Carthage attacked. Okay? The conflict between the two nations resulted in 3 wars, lasting from 264 BC to 146 BC. Okay? The wars are known as the Punic Wars. Okay? Punic refers to the term Punicis, which is Latin for Phoenician. Okay?
So, as Mr. Jones said, these are a series of battles. So, the first Punic War happened 264 to 241, and remember, when we're talking about BC, those years go upward. So, was largely fought on sea. So, we talked about how Carthage was a major naval power, where the Rome Navy was not as skilled as the Carthaginian Navy. However, the Roman soldiers were more determined. Rome improved their ships and developed new tactics. Using their superior soldiers, the Romans captured Carthaginian ships by boarding them and then overtaking the crew. However, the war was not as easily won. Nearly 1 million lives were lost before Carthage surrendered control of Sicily to Rome. Wow. So they're fighting over Sicily, is this first Punic War.
Okay, so the second Punic War, okay, lasted from 218 to 201 BC. Okay, this was called by the Romans the war against Hannibal. Okay?
He's beast.
So Hannibal was skilled at military tactics. All right, to avenge the loss of Sicily, he decided to attack the Romans from the north. With an army of 45,000 men, he marched from Spain along the coast of the Mediterranean and crossed the Alps. Okay? That's a mountain range. All right? The journey and attacks from various people reduced his army in half. Many of his battle elephants and horses also died, but as with Alexander the Great, Hannibal did not need superior members to attain victory in battle. For 15 years, Hannibal roamed the Italian peninsula, conquering Roman-controlled cities. However, he could not conquer Rome.
Okay, so we're talking about, Rome as in, that's in Italy. Rome is just one city in Italy, but their culture, their way of life, their trade, made them go all throughout the Italian peninsula. So Hannibal, this idea of coming over the mountains, that was brand new. Before, Rome has been protected because nobody could cross those Alps. This man used elephants, never had been done in history, to cross the Alps. And he lost a lot of people along the way, but still, that was a huge undertaking, and that gave them an advantage. It says the decisive point in the war came when the Roman conqueror Scipio attacked Carthage. Hannibal was forced to retreat from the Italian peninsula in order to defend Carthage. At the Battle of Zama, Hannibal was defeated. Carthage was forced to surrender its provinces, including Spain.
Wow. Okay. So 50 years later, many Romans regretted that the victory in the war against Hannibal had not included the destruction of Carthage. Mm-hmm. The city-state had grown again in power. So when Carthage refused to obey Rome's demand to move away from the coast, conflict broke out. The third Punic War lasted from 149 to 146 BC. During the final days, the Romans burned and looted Carthage. Mm-hmm. The city was totally destroyed, and the surrounding region became Roman territory. Those Carthaginians who survived were then sold into slavery.
Carthage had many allies in its war against Rome. Among them was Macedonia. After Rome had defeated Hannibal, it invaded Macedonia in 149 BC. Not long after, the Syrians marched to Macedonia and attacked, hoping to weaken the Romans. But the Romans were too strong. They defended both the Macedonians and the Syrians. Realizing that it could do nothing to challenge their strength of Rome, Egypt made an alliance with the master of the entire Mediterranean.
Wow.
So here you can kind of see where the battles took place. You can see where Carthage at first started here with Sicily, attempted Sicily, and then they came over here from Spain and through the Alps. I mean, that was a massive undertaking to go that way. So then you have these questions here, guys, and we're going to ask. We're not going to go over these questions because we want you to do these questions. But when you complete these questions, then you can hit submit your answers. Okay.
Wonderful.
And it will self-grade as well, so you can see right away how you do, and it will allow you to take it more than once. Okay.
Okay. One last thing. Scroll back down to the questions. There is a couple of questions. Let's keep going down a little bit.
Like number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so choose the best answer. Okay, there's another one that's select all that apply as well. Okay, so question number 6. All right, it says select all that apply. So don't just choose one. Okay, if there's more than one correct answer, choose both or choose all 3, whatever. Okay.
If it has boxes, it wants more than one answer.
Exactly.
Okay. So
question 10 is the same way.
It says 3 main bodies, so it's asking for 3 questions there. If you see boxes where you can check mark things, it wants 3 answers here. On number 6, it wants 2 answers there. On number 2, it wants 2 answers there.
Beautiful.
So make sure that you include both, or you'll only get partial credit.
Yep.
Guys, as always, if you have any questions, let us know.
Peace.